Will McClay told 105.3 The Fan, quote, "One of the first things Mike McCarthy said that made me jump up and down was players over scheme." This was clearly seen during the draft when the Cowboys selected receiver CeeDee Lamb at 17, despite not needing help at the position. So, Shannon, how much did this change in philosophy have to do with the Cowboys' success during the draft?
There ain't no change in philosophy. That's easy to say after the fact. Skip, let's say for the sake of argument, one of those top corners were there. Okudah, Henderson, Terrell, and CeeDee Lamb is there at 17. Which one they taking, Skip Bayless? It's easy to say after the fact. You know what? You do know, Skip, but let me tell you what happened, Skip. This all goes back to what happened on draft day in 1998. The best player on the board was who, Skip Bayless? Randy Moss. Jerry Jones never forgot that. They didn't really need a receiver, but he was the best. And they say, nah, he got a couple of red flags, we ain't messing with it. And he punished them every time. And Jerry Jones vowed from that point on, that's also one of the reasons, Skip, that he disregards red flags now. It doesn't matter if the court player has a checkered past. He's like, if the guy's talented, I'm not letting him go. I don't care. That's what this is about. This was not about no, a change in philosophy. Skip, as I mentioned on the other day, I said, if you look at Mike McCarthy, when he had his greatest success, what did he have? Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, James Jones, and Jermichael Finley. That's when he had his greatest success. 3 wides to the tight end and a running back. Now, all of a sudden, it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy. Really? Stop this notion. That's just, he was the best available player. All they did was take the best available player at the time. But it would have been interesting had Chase Young or Jeff Okudah or Henderson been sitting there. Do they take CeeDee Lamb? Hell no. You know it, I know it. They just want to, what we do now, Mike McCarthy is a philosophy type of guy. Man, y'all need to stop this. I see through that bull jive y'all doing.
Okay, I'll give you this. If Okudah had fallen to 17, I think they would have taken Okudah because that's an obvious need with Byron Jones having gone to the Dolphins. But remember, they had CeeDee Lamb, as I kept telling you. I said he's the best receiver in the draft. On their board, they had him at 6. I'm going to guess they had Okudah at 3 or 4, so I'm going to guess they would have taken him, but only Okudah, not any of the other names that you threw out there. CeeDee Lamb fell from 6 to 17. Yeah, well, I mean, he's 2 on the board, so, right? Maybe, I don't know where they had him. I'm going to guess 2. Yeah, they probably take Chase Young.
But you say talent.
I'll give you that one.
Okay.
Okay. All right, but I'm just saying they had CeeDee all the way up at 6. So quick point of order on what you said about Randy Moss. I just said in the previous topic, I was in Chicago as the columnist of the Tribune in '98. I wrote a column before the draft saying, if the Bears pass Randy Moss, they will forever regret it. And they took Cade McNown, and I immediately wrote the next day after the draft, they will forever regret that, and they did. Everybody had big red flags on Randy, and then Dave Wannstedt, then the former Cowboy coach, them to win the NFC. Okay? So help me out, Will McClay. And I love what Will McClay has done, but how on earth did you manage to assemble all that talent when you were hamstrung by Jason Garrett and the assistant coaches? Baloney. No. I mean, I look down the list. You're spilling with Pro Bowlers. I'm looking at Ty Smith and Zach Martin and Travis Frederick, who just retired, obviously, and Zeke and Sean Lee and DeMarcus Lawrence and Amari Cooper that they traded their first for is obviously a Pro Bowler. And then Leighton Vander Esch has made it, and Jalen Smith has made it. And I can just go on and on. They've even had a punter and a long snapper make the Pro Bowl in the last decade. I don't know what's not to like about the draft. And they always say that Jerry has final say. So let's give Jerry the credit. He said, boom, boom, boom. He's pulled the right trigger every time. He's made the right choice on the fly way more often than not. And the only swing and miss that's glaring at the moment was last year, a year ago. They didn't have a first because they gave it for Amari. Okay, I'm good with that. I didn't love Amari on the road last year, but I sure loved him in those 6 or 7 games that he came the year before down the stretch.
Right.
And yet they took Tristan Hill out of Central Florida with their second-round pick last year, and I was told Rod Marinelli, now the ex-defensive coordinator, fell in love with him. Even though I read before the draft, he'd been in the coach's doghouse the whole year and been out of the starting lineup, and he was written off as difficult to coach. But Marinelli loved him for his scheme. He liked smaller defensive tackles with a little more slither to them, a little more penetration to them. And I don't know what happened to Tristan Hill last year, but he just couldn't play. And I'm pretty sure he's still on the roster, but Shannon, I think he's on the way out. So is between the lines, is McClay trying to tell us that if not for Marinelli pushing for him, I would have taken somebody else? Because remember, there are a bunch of safeties sitting right there. Taylor Rapp and Juan Thornhill. They can play. We saw Rams, Chiefs until Thornhill got hurt. They can play, and they're sitting right there, and they took Tristan Hill. And he was a bust. I'm pretty sure he's over and out. Okay, is that what he's talking about? But don't tell me it's a philosophical change. You just about led the whole league in Pro Bowl players over the last decade. That'll work.
So in other words, Skip, what he's trying to say, we got a team full of guys that didn't even fit our philosophy. We just took them because they were good. So they don't really fit what we want to do.
I guess so.
We just took Ty Smith and Zach Martin, who are 2 all-decade offensive linemen. We didn't even really like them. But, just because they don't fit our philosophy. Man, stop.
Zeke?
Skip, I was watching this story. Skip, I was watching the other day. They was talking about, Tony Dungy was talking about how he wanted Warren Sapp because he felt Warren Sapp was perfect. Now, we saw Warren Sapp slide in the draft, but he said he's perfect. This guy's Joe Green. We're going to play a 43. He'll be the under tackle, get up the field, wreak havoc. And Warren Sapp slide. Comes to Minnesota, they don't select him. He wanted Derrick Brooks. They don't. It come to find out, the next year, he's in Tampa coaching the guys that he wanted in Minnesota. Skip, when the guy's that immensely talented, you take him. You don't pass, kind of Warren Sapp, Derrick Brooks, he's a little smallish. Huh? Really? To say the same thing about Ray. Ray too small. He only like 6 foot tall, like 225. So, okay. Skip, when guys are that talented, you don't pass that up. They make it seem like they took Skip, because here's the thing. If they don't take CeeDee Lamb at 17 and take somebody else, everybody's going to crush him and say, you reached, because the guy fell in your lap and you bypassed him. So it was almost like they had to take him.
Okay, so let's not blame Jason Garrett for this. I'm glad he's gone. But he actually should get credit for what he left in the cupboard, because it's loaded.
Yeah, very, very.
Well, the Eagles didn't miss an opportunity to draft Jalen Hurts, but the big question is, will he do more harm than help for the team? We debate next.